Hey everybody, Randy here. Welcome to Let's Figure It Out. In this series, we review mods and features for ARK Survival Ascended on a PlayStation 5. Let's get started. In this video, I will review the steps I have taken to improve game performance and reduce game crashing. You will never eliminate all game crashing, but hopefully this will help fix some of the problems you are having. For this video, I'm on my main account where I'm doing my Extinction Let's Play series. Let's get started. The first thing we need to do is address our in-game settings. We're going to go up to Settings. We're going to go to Advanced. And the first thing we're going to look at is going to be Client Network Bandwidth right here. There are quite a few options. Now, when I started making YouTube videos, I had switched this over to Epic, thinking it was going to give me the best quality possible for my videos. But that's kind of when my crashing started. So I went through kind of a process of elimination and backing this down, and I basically now play at low. I can tell that the graphic quality suffers a little bit, but it improves game crashing and performance so much more. So I think that it is worth it. The next thing you need to look at is console access, and this needs to be turned on. And this gives you access to console commands. We'll show that a little bit later. The next thing I go to is Disable Ambient Insects VFX, and I turn this on to disable it. Now, if you change the setting, you'll have to restart in order for it to take effect. Another thing I do is I go to Underwater Bubble Particle Multiplier, and I make that 0. These steps will help improve some of the graphic errors that your console is having while running this game. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Settings, General, Video. Here, we're going to turn Motion Blur off. We're going to turn Film Grain off. We're going to turn Light Bloom off and Light Shafts off. Now, I will go ahead and tell you, when you do that, it makes it harder for you to see drops coming down from the sky. It will drastically improve your graphics and your performance. The last thing that I'll touch on is going to be VSync mode. Now, I forget what the default is on a PS5, which is what I'm playing on. I want to say it was adaptive. I had switched it to on, and I had switched it back now to adaptive. And I think the thing that the VSync mode does most is when you start to have that screen stuttering, kind of screen tearing look, it will correct that if your monitor or TV has the ability to do that. I am not a computer pro. I do not know all the details of how that works, but everything that I've looked up says it should be on or adaptive to allow your console and your monitor or TV to make the adjustments itself. The next thing we're going to go to is under General and UI. And here we are going to be looking for Disable Menu Transitions. Right here you have the ability to disable a menu transition. This is supposed to improve FPS performance. But I find that it's a little too jarring. I'm not going to demonstrate it, but it basically, when you go into your inventory, it basically just pops up as versus to kind of a slow transition. When I say slow, I mean over the period of milliseconds to a half second kind of slow. I had it off for a while. I found it very jarring and I turned it back on. But this is another thing that you could use to try and improve your performance. After you make all of your changes, you want to make sure you click Save. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to go and take a look at our mods. I'm going to go to our launch page. Then we're going to go to our mod list. Then we're going to go to installed mods. Now, this is all of the mods that I have currently installed. And when you go through here, you can determine whether you want to keep a mod or remove a mod from here. Now, what I do is I look for any custom cosmetic mods that you really don't want, and you remove them. That's the first step you should take. But first, you need to go in game and you need to remove the cosmetics off of the structure or item before uninstalling the cosmetic. It is possible for your structure or item to be deleted when a cosmetic mod is uninstalled. So this is your warning so you don't lose any stuff. Now, Bob's Tall Tales is a custom cosmetic and can cause crashing. I love the structures in Bob's, so I keep that installed and I just deal with it. I'll cover a method later on how I limit the crashing from inventory structure cosmetic usage. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to look for old mods that do not get updated and we'll remove them. I have one here that I can demonstrate, the upgrade station. Now, when you go in and you look at the upgrade station, you can see where it's created and it's last updated right over here. And this was back in 2023 on its last update. If you go in-game, you'll be able to see that some of the icons are missing from the upgrade station, and it's just because it hasn't been recently updated. I've done some testing with this removed and with this on, and I don't find that this particular mod causes any crashing due to not being updated. But I wanted to demonstrate how you should go through in a process of elimination and look at the last updated date to see if maybe it's a mod that you need to remove. The next thing is going in to update a mod that needs to be updated. So this is a mod that frequently gets updates. You can see the last update was very recently. So I will come up here and I will update the mod. Once it gets through installing, it'll show that it's updated and it'll perform the way it's supposed to. Wildcard pushes out performance updates and often breaks mods in-game. The mod developers have to fix what coding that the wildcard update broke. They will often post on Discord, had to recook this mod to fix a recent update, waiting on CurseForge to approve and push the update out. Now, this isn't the mod developer's fault. They are only working with the tools that they're given. But it's up to you to choose a mod that gets consistent updates, or you run the risk of breaking your game. You should be checking your installed mods before loading your game every time you load in your map. This is the best way to protect against lost data and data corruption. So, every time that you come in to load into the map, when you're at your launch page, you need to come to the mod list, come over to installed mods, and scroll through and make sure that everything in here is installed and updated and that there's no update required. Okay, we're back in game now. Next, we are going to go over 4 in-game commands that improve performance. The first command that we are going to use is stat FPS. And you can see that it will overlay an FPS counter on the right-hand side of the screen. Now, I chose this area here because this was my original permanent base whenever I started playing the map. And this area is terrible. I had to move from here because the FPS was so poor. You can see that as I'm looking around, my frame counter is about 27 frames per second. That's terrible, quite honestly. It's unacceptable. It should be a lot higher than that. This particular area is just so poorly optimized, and that's why my frames are so low. Using the stat FPS command will help you see what your frames are in different areas around the map. The next command that we're going to use is going to be grass size scale 0. Now, it removes all of the grass. We were at about 27 frames and we're now jumping up to 31. It kind of bounces between 30 and 31, but that's just by removing the grass. Now, I'm on the top of a building in the middle of the sanctuary in the city. If I was down on the ground, there would be so much more grass clutter, and this would help improve my frames even more. The next command that we're going to go over is going to be R volumetric fog 0. Now, notice how there's a little more clarity as we're looking over at the biome, the desert biome across the way. The frames have jumped up just a little bit. We're now touching 32, always at around 31, and never really dropping down to 30 like we were doing after the previous command. The next command that we're going to use is going to be R volumetric cloud 0. We have had a massive jump in frames per second. If you only used one command, removing the clouds is the one that you should use. We're now jumping up as high as 85, 86, 87 frames, and we're hovering around 42 to 43 frames whenever it goes up and goes down. That is way better than the initial 27 frames that I was getting in this very poorly optimized area on Extinction. And as I look around, you can see that there are, some peaks and valleys, some spikes of my performance. We're kind of between 45, 90-ish. It kind of jumps up and down, 95-ish. We look down, it's a little hard to see here, but we're right around 30s, 40s, and higher at its low point. So there's just a lot more improvement to our frames whenever we use these commands, and that's here in this poorly optimized area, okay? Another technique to avoid inventory crashes is to use the extended hotbar to avoid going into your inventory. Now, I want to put this frame counter where we can see it, and I'm just going to open and close my inventory. I'll probably enlarge this through editing so it's a little easier to see, but what we're trying to look at is how it will have a low spike in frames as I open and close my inventory. So it dropped down to 25, I think is what it was, and it's hovering around 33, 34, and now I'll exit my inventory. It spikes down to 0, and then it jumps back up to, at its peak, 87, hovering around 43, 44. Back into our inventory. Looks like it dropped down to 18, 19. It happens so quick it's hard to see, but we're hovering around 32, 33, 34 frames inside my inventory. Now I'll exit my inventory, and it's a spike down to 0. Now every time that you do that, you run the risk of having your game crash. So not going in and out of your inventory is a good technique to improve your game crashing. Now, you can't play this game while never going into your inventory, but there are steps that you can take to help improve that. The custom cosmetics will often cause a crash, and I may crash here, but I'll bring you back after reloading. If we go into cosmetic, I'm just going to look at a Bob's Tall Tale cosmetic. And so you see how I'm hovering right around 28, 27, 29 frames. If we go into, let's just say we pull up the frontier structure. Whenever I right click to use this to place it, my frames will drop. It went down to 0, and now I can change the skin that I'm placing here, anywhere that I want to put it. Now I want to go and I want to skin my whole base. Something that you can use is you can use your extended hotbar in order to access things that are in your inventory. Now, the thing in my inventory that I want to access is a structure variant gun. But first we're going to talk about how to use the extended hotbar to access things without actually going into your inventory and causing a low spike in your frames. What we're going to do, we're going to hold L1 and see how I go over to my hotbar here. And then we're going to hold up on the D-pad. Now we have our extended hotbar. Now you hold up on the D-pad and you tap left or right on the D-pad to scroll through your inventory. So I'm going to hold L1, and now you see there's little buttons to the side there for the left D-pad and right D-pad. I'm going to hit let's get this off the screen. We're going to go right. I'm going to hit the right D-pad, and it's showing, like 2 of 5. That tells me I have 5 extended hotbars that I can access. So if I hit the left, that's 1 of 5. I'm going to hit the right, 2 of 5, 3 of 5, 4 of 5, 5 of 5. Now let's go into my inventory and you can see all the things that I have. I've got a bunch of cryopods. I've got a variant gun. In my keep file, I've got some kibble, some dinos I use for harvesting, just ammo, just different things here that I have in my inventory, that I keep in my inventory. I go into the extended hotbar, hold up on L1, and then that opens up my extended hotbar. Now I'm on 5 of 5. If I hit the right D-pad again, it goes back to 1 of 5. So I can scroll through my whole inventory just using left and right D-pad, and it'll take me back around to the beginning of my inventory. So I can use anything that I want to use inside my inventory just by using the extended hotbar. Now, in order to use something that's in the extended hotbar, let's just say I want to eat a piece of kibble because my food is low. I will hold down on L1 and then I'll hit the corresponding button, which is going to be square. And I now eat a piece of kibble, which is what I use for food on this particular map. Do it again, L1, and we're going to hit square for kibble. And we notice that my food goes up to 200, which is the max that I have my food setting on. If I want to use a dino, it's the same concept. This time I'm going to throw out, I think it's a Esphelanosaur, and that's going to be the down D-pad that will pull out my cryo ball, and then I can deploy it just like I would normally deploy it. Now, we have something in our hand and we're in our extended inventory. So I want to close my extended inventory and I want to remove the item that's in my hand. The first thing I'm going to do to exit the extended hotbar is I'm going to hold L1 and I'm going to hold up on the D-pad, and I'm back to my normal hotbar. And then I just pull out something and it puts away that other dino ball that I had in my hand. And that's how you'll use your extended hotbar. This will go a long way to eliminating the crashes that you may have by going in and out of your inventory. So let's put this guy away. So I find if I go into my inventory and I select a custom cosmetic, as it exits the inventory, sometimes it will crash my game. So let's just open up our cosmetic. Let's go to the wasteland and we will hit R2 to place this particular structure. So right now our frames are at 27 or 28 frames per second, which we know is very poor. It's a spike down to 0 and then it comes back up. Now we can have access to that particular skin without going into our inventory. And that's going to be through the use of a gun or a tool. So right now I'm using a mod called Vanilla with Sprinkles. It has a variant gun that can be used to copy and paste structure skins. This is great for avoiding closing inventory crashes. And we're going to do it with our extended hotbar. We're going to hold down on L1. We're going to hold up on the D-pad. We're in our extended hotbar now. We're going to hold down on L1 and we're going to use the right D-pad. And we're looking for that green gun that's over in the X slot. So I'm going to hold L1 and I'm going to tap X. And I now bring out the gun. Now, while I'm doing this, I can hold down L1 and hit up on the D-pad and close the extended hotbar. Okay, so now I have the gun equipped. I'm going to hold down on square and we're going to go up to rotate, and then we're going to go to variant swap. So now what I can do is I can rotate the direction that this skin is going in just by shooting it with the gun. You can see that it swaps around just by doing that. You can also flip it and you can do other things that you want to do with it. But specifically what we're going to do is we are going to put the gun away. Then we're going to open our extended hotbar. We're going to select the gun again. I'm going to go ahead and put my hotbar away. Now I'm going to hold down on square and I'm going to hit the copy paste button. So I should be able to copy this skin to this structure. So now I can utilize that skin without having to go into my inventory to do it. Now, let's say I made a mistake and I didn't want to turn these into frontier skins. What I'll do is I'll put the gun away. I'm going to open my hotbar again, the extended hotbar. I'm going to select the variant gun. I'm now going to hold down square, copy and paste. And I do that, hold down square, I use my left stick, and then I use the right trigger, copy and paste. We're going to shoot this wasteland skin. And up top, you see it says clipboard variant wasteland structures. I'm now going to copy it to this structure, to this one, and to this one. And so I can go through and I can reskin the whole base just by copying a skin that I already have on the ground. Now, it does require you to go into your custom cosmetic inventory at least once in order to skin something, but then you can use the gun to swap those skins around as much as you like. So that's another technique that you can use. The last step to avoid game crashes is to limit render crashing. To demonstrate this, I'm going to go to my old base using the tech teleporter. Now, I'm also careful with how fast I travel on a dino. For example, Managarmas, Meguanas, and Snow Owls can move so fast that it can render crash your game. If you use a teleporter, then expect your game to crash on poorly optimized maps. A save before teleporting is almost always required. So now I'm going to teleport to my current base to demonstrate how accessing eggs can crash your game. I may crash while using this teleporter, and I'll bring you back afterwards. We made it. Of course, I had all those console commands entered before I teleported, so that did help. One thing that I've noticed when using a teleporter is that your grass commands will stay, but your cloud and fog commands may not. So I will enter my console commands and enter fog and cloud one more time. All right, that will improve some performance over here at this base. Now, I've got a lot of breeding going on my playthrough on my current series on Extinction. So one thing that I'm doing is working on Rexes. Now, I want to show what my frames are right now. It's about 51, 52 at its peak, and then it drops down to 25. The reason for that is all of these dinos that I have out. All these dinos that are out breeding. Projects that I've got breeding. I've got a bunch of Rexes on top of the breeding barn that are breeding. I've got a bunch of projects over here breeding. All of these animations and poop timers and egg timers, gestation timers, they all affect the performance of the game. So right here, I'm fluctuating between 27 frames at its low and 54, 55 at its high. When I enter this console to look at the eggs, you'll notice that it will drop down. It's gone down even lower now. Now we're down at 21, 20 frames per second while I'm in here in this inventory. I'm going to hit the L2 button to drop an egg out. What I want you to pay attention to is this counter right here. And I know it's not very easy to see. I may enlarge this through editing as I drop out these 3 eggs. What we're looking for is what it's at right now between 22 and 24 frames. And then as I drop the egg out, the console has to capture the dino as it's burst from the egg. So the egg dropped out, it went down to about 16. The egg hatches, it picks it up. It looked like it went to about 14. It's very hard to see, I know. We're gonna do it again. Maybe down to 16. When the egg hatches, it gets captured, it drops down again. We're at about 23. We're gonna drop an egg. I think it went down to about 18 that time. And it dropped down to about 17 when it picked up the dino. Now, you can imagine if I just spam a bunch of eggs out onto the ground, it could render crash the game out. So I have to be very careful about how I open eggs and how I drop items. So this is the automated ARK vacuum, and anything that hits the ground, it will automatically vacuum it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get this where we can see this counter a little easier. It's kind of hard to see, I know. I need a darker background. All right, so we're at about 29 frames. We spike up to about 58 frames, I think, at its high point. I go into my inventory, we're down to about 21, 22, 23. I'm going to spam drop these pellets. I'm not going to drop them all at once in a bag. I'm going to spam drop them. All right. So I'm going to hit L2 to drop all these snow owl pellets. And what we're looking for is how this counter over here drops as I drop all these pellets out. I'm spamming it out. I'm not going as fast as I can, but I'm spamming it out, and it's dropping down to 16 to 19 frames. So when you spam drop stuff, that can drop your frames per second and can cause you to crash. Anytime Wildcard releases a new map, it will not be optimized and it'll have bugs. I often wait 3 or 4 weeks after releasing before starting a new map. Aberration and Extinction were both poorly optimized. There are so many mesh spawns, dino overspawns, and poorly optimized lighting areas. I find that Extinction is especially bad due to overspawns, the meteor storms, and the King Titan. I moved my Extinction base out of the city into the desert biome to eliminate the meteor storm crashes. Anytime you start a new map and you want to build a permanent base anywhere, I'd suggest spending a little time in that area with the stat FPS console command on. This will help you see if the area is poorly optimized. Taking these steps has gone a long way to making this map playable and getting my YouTube series back on track. I hope this helps your game performance too. Please subscribe and like so that YouTube will recommend this video to other people so that they can get the benefit of using these commands. Thanks for stopping by, and we will see you in the next one.